Good afternoon. My name is Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens, Deputy Commissioner of Operations with the Pennsylvania State Police. Joining me today is District Attorney Deb Ryan, Chief County Detective David Sasa, Rob Clark from the U.S. Marshal's Office, ASAC Jamie Milligan, FBI Philadelphia, Commander Andrew Regan, U.S. Border Patrol, and Director Bill Messerschmidt, Chester County Emergency Management. There have been a significant number of developments in this investigation over the past 24 hours. Earlier this morning, at approximately 12:30 a.m., PSP was made aware of a sighting of Cavalcante in the East Pikeland area of Chester County. Our investigation yielded the following occurrences. Sometime during the evening of September 9th, Cavalcante stole a 2020 Ford Transit van from an area approximately 3/4 of a mile from the perimeter we were maintaining near the Longwood Gardens property. These had been left in the van, and the theft was not noticed until PSP canvassed the area looking for a possible stolen vehicle after a report of a sighting of Cavalcante in the East Pikeland area. It was determined Cavalcante used the van and traveled to that area. At 9:52 p.m., he attempted to contact an individual he had known and worked with several years prior. Cavalcante spoke with the individual via a video doorbell at that residence and inquired about meeting with that individual. The individual was at dinner with his family and did not respond to Cavalcante. Cavalcante left that residence. The homeowner eventually returned home, reviewed his doorbell recording, and called local police. PSP received a call about this sighting and the next at 12:30 in the morning on September 10th, 2023. This was our first indication that Cavalcante had been able to travel from the area of Longwood Gardens. Photos of Cavalcante were downloaded from a video doorbell and have already been provided to the media. Some of those photos are here adjacent to the podium. You will note that Cavalcante is now clean shaven and wearing a bright green hooded sweatshirt. Investigators were also made aware of another sighting in the Phoenixville area in which Cavalcante appeared at a residence of another old work associate at 10:07 p.m. That associate was not home, but a female resident observed Cavalcante and called her friend. That friend responded to the residence and eventually placed a call to local police. Police investigated and then notified PSP. During that investigation, there was an indication of a white vehicle possibly being used by Cavalcante. An updated photo of Cavalcante was provided to state and local law enforcement at 2:30 a.m. Using the description provided, at 5:20 a.m., investigators identified a vehicle from the Longwood Gardens area which fit the description of the vehicle operated by Cavalcante. Upon contacting the vehicle owner, the owner realized their vehicle had been stolen. Further investigation revealed the keys had been left in the vehicle. Law enforcement nationwide was immediately notified of the theft, and an alert was provided to state and local law enforcement at 5:37 a.m. After an extensive search, the vehicle was discovered abandoned in a field behind a barn in East Nantmeal Township at 10:40 a.m. Investigators have been searching the area around that location since that time. We are obviously very concerned that Cavalcante has or will attempt to steal another vehicle to facilitate his escape. As a reminder, we ask for the public's help by familiarizing themselves with the updated photographs and description of Cavalcante, to check security cameras they have, and to call us immediately if they believe they may have seen him. Again, we ask residents to please secure homes, outbuildings, and vehicles. This most recent incident is a reminder that he will take advantage of any opportunity to obtain items he needs. It is also imperative that anyone with information about Cavalcante contact us immediately so we can act on it in a timely manner. I have told you from the start of this manhunt that we were conducting a multifaceted investigation, which includes strong investigative and technological components. Those aspects become even more important now. We will aggressively continue this investigation with our federal, state, county, and local partners until we successfully bring Cavalcante back into custody. Cavalcante is considered extremely dangerous, and there is a reward of up to $20,000 offered for information leading to his capture. Anyone with information is asked to call our tip line at 717-562-2987. 717-562-2987. I know this is an extremely stressful time for the community. I assure you, we are doing everything possible to bring this to a successful resolution as quickly as possible. I also want to make mention of a special thank you to Longwood Gardens. I will tell you that for some time, the past several days, we have had to essentially take over that property, and they have been very, very accommodating, and I appreciate that. Not everyone and not every business or organization would be as accommodating, and so I thank them. And with that, I will be happy, and as will the others here, to take any questions that you may have.
Senator, how do you allow this to happen? I mean, you had 400 officers within this perimeter. You had it closed down to a 4 square miles, I understand it, yet he somehow slips through this perimeter and then is spotted in Phoenixville. How do you explain that?
Well, what I would tell you is that, as I've said from the very beginning, there are a number of challenges in any investigation. No perimeter is 100% secure, ever. We did a very good job, and I will tell you, I applaud the men and women who were out there standing in some very difficult conditions and trying to secure that perimeter. I'm not going to make an excuse to you. I wish it had not happened. Unfortunately, there are a lot of circumstances, there are a lot of issues associated with that property. Tunnels, very large drainage ditches, things that could not be secured. You couple that with weather, aviation being down for a night. There are a number of reasons. Again, no excuses. We took on the responsibility. We gave it a very good effort. We gave it an exceptionally good effort, and I applaud the men and women who've done.
You just think Longwood Gardens. Is there a reason to believe there were underground tunnels?
There are underground tunnels there.
Were you provided blueprints of Longwood Gardens? Did the management there facilitate you in that aspect?
They did help us with blueprints, and as a matter of fact, there's additional construction that also has other tunnels and drainage areas that are under construction. Those cannot be secured. It's really that simple. So you do the best you can with any given circumstance. It's no different when it's a wooded search. It's no different when there are challenges with every one of them. And so we do the very best that we can. Our people did a great job, and I applaud them. I wish that he had not been able to slip through there, but that does happen sometimes, and that's why we don't simply rest on our laurels and say, okay, we're going to take one approach. I will tell you, I mean, to give you some idea, I brought you all in here on Friday and showed you the scope of this. I nearly doubled the planning for 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Our plan had been to go close to 600 members of law enforcement to do one massive sweep of that entire piece of property. There's a huge amount of planning goes into that, and working around weather and some of those other kinds of things. So it is not for a lack of trying that this occurred. We'll fall back, as we do in any other investigation. When something doesn't go our way, we'll fall back to something else. In the end, I am confident we will capture him, and we will bring him back into the criminal justice system.
So what's Cavalcante's family's role right now? We're hearing that his sister was arrested.
Currently, we're up in a little more in the northern part of the county. I do not have a perimeter secured up there. We're searching an area around where we recovered the van, but there are a number of other pieces of information that are in play that don't require perimeter and are the focus of our efforts at this point.
What's Cavalcante's family's involvement at this point? His mom was assisting you earlier, but we're now hearing that his sister's been arrested by ICE and possibly for deportation.
That is accurate.
And what is his family cooperating?
Do you
still?
believe that he's getting any assistance from those family members or anyone else in this community?
As always, I'm not going to comment on what assistance he may or may not be receiving, but we take steps to try and minimize or eliminate that assistance, and that's exactly what we've done at this
Where's
point.
the focal point of the search right now?
The physical search right now is near that the recovery of that van, but again, there are a number of other things in play that don't require that physical presence up there, and those are all equally or even more important at this point.
You still believe he is in Pennsylvania and probably Chester County? Have other special forces come in over the last few hours to support your efforts from other states? And then anything you tell us about the victim's family right now?
I do believe that he's still in Pennsylvania. I can tell you that the victim's family remains under protection, and we assure them that they will be fully protected through all of this. And I'm sorry, what was the other part of your question?
Any other additional support coming in from other states?
Yes, as always, we adjust. I just mentioned the planning that obviously I couldn't disclose to you ahead of time, but the planning that was going into tomorrow's efforts. We were bringing even more resources in. What we're doing now is shifting, again, based on the nature of how I see the investigation playing out and going forward. All of our partners here are doing an amazing job of shifting now and bringing the resources we need to bear. Yes, sir.
Can you repeat the location of where that van was located, just so we make sure we have that right? And also, this video or these images that you're sharing with us, what has the person who shared these images told you about? What he's saying through this ring camera? What is he asking for? Does this tell you that he's now trying to get support from associates?
So the first part of your question, East Nantmeal Township in Chester County. The second part, I'm not going to be specific, but yes, he is absolutely, I'll give it a general characterization. He is absolutely looking for support. He needs that support. He doesn't have it. Yes, ma'am.
How did he get from Longwood Gardens over to Bailey's Farm and nobody saw him? If there's police cars all around Hollyville, Northbrook, the last 2 days, how come nobody saw him? How did he get there?
Well, ma'am, first of all, you've got darkness, you've got a variety of weather conditions, and you've got some fairly rugged terrain. And I mentioned, drainage ditches, underground tunnels, all of those kinds of things. There are a lot of factors. Until I capture him or we capture him and I or others have an opportunity to interview, and if he would share that, I guess then we'll know. But until then, I don't know how he got over there. I wish I did. I could speculate on a couple of possibilities, but I can tell you that, again, no perimeter is 100% secure. We do the best we can. Most times we're able to secure it adequately.
For clarification, these images from the doorbell camera, they were from his acquaintance's home?
These were from, yes, it was, when I say an acquaintance, it was someone he had worked with several years ago. I'm not suggesting that they have a relationship with him now. It was someone that he has worked with, but he sought out their assistance.
Is there any indication that he might have a weapon or anything? Is there anything from any of these videos or anything that just indicate that?
I don't have any substantive proof right now that he has a weapon, but clearly he has been in residences, businesses, and in vehicles, at least one, that I can't say what may or may not have been in any of those locations that he had access to.
How much has this cost so far? How much more do you all need? How much more?
I got to tell you, I'm not tracking the cost right now. We're doing what it takes to successfully run this investigation. In terms of what we need, I will tell you that our partners have been amazing. Anything that I've asked for, anything that they have suggested, because there's a lot of expertise standing behind me and in the room over here, anything that has been reasonably suggested by any of us, each of us steps up and accommodates with those resources.
What do you think you're going to use, though, to try to elevate this search?
Well, again, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but I've suggested all along that there are a number of investigative and technological pieces that can be brought to bear. That is where this shifts until such time as we have him in a position where we're prepared to try and contain and capture him.
Lieutenant Colonel, are you prepared
Yes,
to characterize this as a nationwide manhunt at this
Just 1
point?
minute, sir.
Are you aware of any vigilante type people who are trying to help you guys, or citizen cops out there? I mean, there's a YouTuber who's running around.
Yes, I have heard
So
that that's the case.
How do you reconcile what the professionals are doing with what the amateurs are doing? Are they helping you in any way or not at all?
They're not helping us at all, and in fact, they become a hindrance. Again, some of the technology, some of our resources have to be diverted at times when they insert themselves into a scene. It's not helpful. I wish they wouldn't do it. I've asked that they not, but I can't stop them in some cases from doing it.
Again, are you prepared to characterize this? Sorry, Annie. Are you prepared to characterize this as a nationwide manhunt now that he's broken the perimeter, had access to a vehicle, could potentially leave the state?
We have always looked at the potential that it could be a nationwide manhunt. The resources that are standing here with me already make it a nationwide manhunt. The information is being shared as appropriate across the country. This morning, before we even had a full picture, the information we had was being shared with appropriate law enforcement all across the country. And so we keep our law enforcement partners apprised of the progress or the setbacks for that matter. And we work with them as necessary. So certainly going forward, any information that we think is appropriate or could even potentially be utilized by partners will be shared, and the agencies represented here are in a position to do that.
Do you think that the officials you were getting intel about Cavalcante, those who knew him best, prison guards, prosecutors, do you think that they underestimated how resourceful he is, how resilient he is? I mean, it's pretty impressive so far how he's been able to get around. Do you think that was underestimated?
No, I don't think anyone underestimated him. I think, everyone knows that, he is somebody that comes from a background where he has endured some hardship, and there's no doubt he is willing to endure some hardship now. His choice is to go to prison for the rest of his life. He chooses not to do that. Unfortunately, that is not what's going to prevail in the long run. And so he is very determined. We are even more determined. He will be held to justice, and we're going to bring him back into custody.
Two quick questions. Do we know where he got the hoodie and presumably the razor to shave? Was this at the dairy farm or another break-in?
The hoodie was at the dairy farm. I don't know about the razor.
And the second question is, we know that in 2021, some people in Phoenixville helped him as he was trying to escape. Is the gentleman that he tried to reach out to one of those people?
I am aware of that information, and I don't want to comment any further on that right now.
One more
Yes, ma'am.
question. Is there any chance, so August 22nd on or about is when he was convicted, and he might have had come in contact with people. Is there any chance upon that conviction and the people he was talking with that he hatched this plan to escape on a certain day? I mean, it looked like he had a little help in the prison getting out. He had that watchdog guy there. But is there any thought that he started this whole process upon the day he was convicted? Like, is there any way to tell his defense attorney, et cetera?
I don't know that there's a way to tell that it was that specific day. Do I think he has been trying to plot this? Yes. Do I think he took advantage of an opportunity that presented itself that other inmates told him about from a different inmate escaping that way? Yes, I think he took advantage of that opportunity. But he has any number of opportunities from the time he is convicted or even prior to have contact with his attorney, with family members, and so forth. And so at any point along the way, the plot could be hatched or the plot could be continued as it goes on. At this point, I am not in a position to say that on a specific day, that's where it was hatched.
What's your message to those in the community who may be trying to assist him in this? And what kind of charges could they face?
They will be prosecuted vigorously if we can prove that they assisted him. And the types of charges depends on the type of assistance. But we have the district attorney here, and I don't want to speak for her, but I'm certain that she is well prepared to prosecute anyone who assists in any way.
Yes, sir. Do we know anything about where he worked in Chester County prior to the murder in 2021? He seems to know the area pretty well. And also, President Biden's sister lives in Kennett Township, where Secret Service called in at all.
First, yes, we do have a lot of information on his background, and all of that factors into the overall investigation. Secret Service would be one of many federal partners that has access to information, and certainly anything that might pertain not only to anybody that lives here but visits or so forth. They would have full access to anything that they needed.
Was it mushroom farms or equestrian farms where he worked?
I'm not going to go into all of his background, but we have looked into that.
Confidence that you have an idea of where he is right now?
If I knew where he was right now, we would go catch him and bring him back in. What I'm telling you is that I'm confident we will identify where he is. He slipped that perimeter. He got out. To say that will be today or tomorrow, I don't know, but I hope sooner rather than later.
You have the resources out right now where you found it. Is there
Absolutely.
any confidence that he's in that area? Or
we're still searching. We'll do a thorough search and try and either capture him or eliminate that as a possibility.
From the last few hours, what did you find inside the van? And why do you believe he may have ditched that vehicle?
I don't have a complete counting of everything that was in the van yet. Quite frankly, I've been busy with a number of other things, but I've got some very talented people that are working on that. Some of the folks back here have been directly involved in those operations. What I would tell you is that we take all of that information and factor that in as we go forward. I would also tell you that one of the reasons that I believe he dumped that vehicle was a lack of fuel.
You got any indication if there any reports of stolen vehicles in that area where you found that there?
I do not have a report of a stolen vehicle. I anticipate that we will.
Are we still at 400 people searching on the ground, or are we up in the numbers as of right now? Looking for him?
We're adjusting the numbers as we speak. It's going to be determined by what the conditions require. There is no point in having resources stand around. Conversely, I never want to be in a position where I wish I had more and didn't have them here. So we try and anticipate and we'll adjust to the
You
needs.
mentioned that you're still investigating how he was able to breach that perimeter, but have you been able to pinpoint where in the perimeter that he was able to slip through, or general consensus of the area?
I have not been able to conclusively determine that. I have my suspicions where I believe or how I believe that happened,
Did you share that?
but no, because I don't know conclusively. But again, I knew where the weaknesses were, and I think perhaps one of those weaknesses came into play here.
Lieutenant Colonel, at what point does another agency take over if he is in fact spotted across state lines?
At that point, we certainly have all the federal partners here right now. The U.S. Marshals really takes the lead anytime you start crossing state lines, and they're here. They're a huge partner in all of this. We work hand in hand, not only when we're doing these kinds of investigations. We have people assigned to their offices that are deputized right along with their deputy marshals, and that work with them every day of the year. So this will be seamless if it ever does transition across the state line. Right now, there's no indication that that's the case. But if it does, it won't change the investigation much at all. It simply, we would also then simply transition in another state police agency or whatever, whoever the lead investigative entity is in that state.
Senator, what's your message though to the community? I mean, they've been watching you guys chase this guy now. This day 11, a lot of scrutiny coming towards your agency that you let him slip through this perimeter. What do you say to the people that are losing faith in not only the PSP,
I don't
but your
know that
leadership?
people are losing faith. I will tell you that I think people realize we have given this a 100% effort. And as I said earlier, I'm proud of the effort that our people have put forth. I'll take responsibility for it. I lead this effort with them, and I'm proud to do it. I appreciate the support we've gotten from the community. I think the community recognizes that in any kind of a major operation like this, there are simply times things don't go the way you plan. That happens in investigations. It happens in manhunts. It happens in all kinds of things. I've had a long career in law enforcement. Rarely do things happen exactly as I planned. That's why if you're smart, you're planning contingencies and you're ready to adapt to whatever happens. This is a minor setback. We'll get them. It's a matter of time. Yes, sir.
Can you comment on why the sister was arrested?
As was alluded to earlier, there are some immigration issues. Beyond that, I don't have any other comment.
Sorry if you already answered this, but have you interviewed and or gotten in touch with the people that helped him in 2021?
As I said, I am aware of that information, but I'm not prepared to discuss what actions we've taken with regard to it.
Two things. We've been getting some tips about a sighting at a church. Can you confirm that?
I don't have,
Going out of a church parking lot.
no, I don't have any information about that.
Any chance he's still in Phoenixville and someone drove that van up there?
Sentenced to
Wait, just one
life
second.
in prison. When he is caught, what happens to that sentence? Is there any addition tacked onto it?
He can be charged, and there can be an addition put on. I can tell you that there's already a commitment that he will go directly to a state correctional facility when he is captured, and we'll work through the rest of what occurs at that point.
What's your
depending on
new
the
perimeter? Are you
circumstances.
not
I'm
able
sorry.
to establish a
sorry.
new perimeter?
I'm sorry.
Was
I
there any
need
sense,
some-
did anybody see him driving the white van? Or could it have been someone else? And he's in Phoenixville, somebody ditched that van up there. Is that a realm possibility?
No, I'm confident it was him in the van.
Are you even able to establish a perimeter now that he seems to have gone farther?
As
and
I
if
said
so, what
earlier,
is it?
no, and as I said earlier, a large perimeter isn't the answer in every single investigation or every time or at every point in an investigation. And so We established a small temporary perimeter. We're still holding that in that area while we finish that search. If it's not successful, there's no reason to hold that perimeter. I mentioned to you that there were a number of delays in the reporting of this to us. So, we would look to other opportunities to further the investigation. Perhaps later today, perhaps tomorrow, perhaps the day after, if it still goes on that long, there may be a need for another significant perimeter like we had here. And if so, we will absolutely do that, and we will absolutely do our best to capture him at that time.
So do you know whether you had any communication, cell phone or anything?
I don't want to offer any opinion on that right now. I've said before, there are varying degrees of confidence. I think it's fair to say 8 or 9 easily.
Sir, so many people were at the Marshall Festival yesterday and today, and so many people have expressed how grateful they are to law enforcement coming in, county, state, federal, to keep the community safe that you have this weekend here in the Kennett Square region. For the people that live here locally, can you give us any insight into where he was hiding specifically overnight, with any evidence of anywhere he might have slept one of these nights? Has that effort been going on since prior to Labor Day?
No, there's really not anything I can disclose now.
From Lakewood to, he seems to have gone west about 11 miles. He was behind the wheel, as you point out.
Yes.
He literally ran out of gas. So as you try to kind of make up for any ground lost, where do you think he was going if he was going west?
Well, again, I think he's looking for assistance, and I think he had a reason to do that.
Where would be his next stop? I mean,
Well, I'm not going to go any further than that, but I think that that's a strong motivator for someone if they're looking for
Quick
assistance.
question about the church that was at Bonnie Gray Road. There were people who said they saw a white van and another car pull out. Have you been able to investigate that?
We have investigated Bonnie Bray. It just wasn't, I didn't realize that's the church if you're talking about that there. There was an incident at Bonnie Bray.
So
But,
is that a confirmed or
yes,
credible sighting?
yes, just it didn't involve, at least the aspect that I saw did not involve the church.
Was there another car involved with that? People have said that there was a white van pulling out with another car involved.
Prior to him going to Phoenixville, was there any law enforcement stationed over by his sister's house before this all happened?
I'm not going to talk about where we have assets at this point, but I think it's very reasonable to think that law enforcement assets were, given the number of people we had assigned to this, very reasonable to think that there were law enforcement assets anywhere that it would have been appropriate to do so.
Can you touch on any of the specific challenges law enforcement is going to be dealing with Cavalcante's potential access to a vehicle?
Well, I mean, certainly he is a very determined individual. And so one of the challenges that we face is if people don't heed our advice, and as we had here, a vehicle unlocked with keys in it, that makes our job more difficult, and it makes it much easier for him to succeed in various aspects of his escape efforts. And so, I go back to, we want to make this as difficult as possible for him. We ask for cooperation in trying to do that.
So there's video associated.
No, it was absolutely the right thing to do. We can strengthen it as we bring it in. It wasn't a matter of him being outside of the perimeter. He was in there. We had sightings once we had it in there and had the perimeter strengthened. It was simply a matter of you can't guarantee 100% of the time that you can contain somebody with a perimeter of that size even.
So there's video of him and audio of this interaction here that we're looking at the stills of.
Yes.
But you're not releasing it.
Not at this time, no.
But you will release it eventually?
I don't know. That'll be to be determined as we go forward. What we wanted to do was let the public know, really the important thing here was to let the public know what his appearance is right now. And so we took some of the best stills out of that video. The rest of it is not necessarily so important. This is what matters.
But I asked you in the command center the other day, why not just be fully transparent about everything that you
Oh,
know?
I think we've been exceptionally transparent through this investigation. And at some point, perhaps I will release the video. This has been a fluid investigation. Most of the people in here probably haven't slept an hour in the last 24 hours. And so my focus isn't on how can I maximize the content that I can push out. It's how do I maximize the content that is necessary to effectively move this investigation forward. And that's what we're trying to do with these. We'll make decisions on the video. There's nothing to hide with the video. It's just it takes more effort and things away from the other investigative steps that we're taking. And so for right now, we hurried up and got some stills ready so that we could release those.
Does he have any cartel or human trafficking gang affiliations, or were you confident to say this is a lone fugitive?
He has had gang affiliations in the past. I wouldn't speculate as to what he's got right now.
Does Mexico become a possibility again?
Oh, we've never discounted that, and not just Mexico, we've never discounted that any international escape effort should be, considered. Those are always things that have been taken into account right from the very start. Again, when I talked about having contingency planning, we're trying to make sure that that can't happen.
Is it overstating it to say that you don't know where he is right now? Generally, specifically, that he's.
No. Do I know a specific spot where he is right now? No. Do I think generally I have an idea where he is? Probably, but not specifically enough that I could say, let's put a hard perimeter up right now.
That general area is East End.
Yes.
So when he sentenced to prison, why was he not deported back to his own country? Why was it legal in him to put into jail here where was they for him to be there for the rest of his life?
Well, ma'am, that's not a decision that I have any input or anything else about. I can just tell you that those decisions were made by judges and others in the judicial system.
Do you still have the same order? And forgive me for not phrasing it correctly, but the order to shoot on sight for your troopers?
I have still left that order stand that deadly force is authorized if he is not actively surrendering.
And
yes.
for those agencies that are under the Department of Justice umbrella,
they have their own use of force rules.
And what are they in this situation?
I would let them speak for themselves about
Can
that.
you comment on where exactly you believe he shaved in an effort to change his appearance to avoid taxes?
No, I really can't offer an opinion on where he shaved.
You're kind of close to an area with some Amish communities. Have authorities been in touch with them?
We have relied on our partners in local government, at county government levels, through the emergency management folks. We're trying to do our very best, as appropriate, to get information out to each of those communities. Certainly, if we thought there was a specific threat in the Amish community, we would directly focus our efforts there, but we're trying to keep everyone as informed as is reasonable. Yes, sir.
And how are you doing? How's morale with that?
Morale is good. People have heard me say this in the command post since the very beginning. I've done this many times. Not always to this size and extent, but we've done these so many times. It's a roller coaster. There are ups and downs. There always are. And all of a sudden, it'll be resolved. And there he is. The important thing is, hopefully we don't get anyone in the community hurt, and we don't get any of our people hurt, and we bring this to a successful conclusion. It'll happen.
Just wanted one more point of clarification about the dairy farm.
Yes.
You were saying keys were still in the van. The family was inside working, but they didn't notice their van had.
No, the family wasn't inside working. They were sleeping. It was overnight.
Okay. And then so they didn't notice that their van was missing until law enforcement notified them.
Correct. Okay. In the early morning hours this morning. Okay. All right. Again, I thank you all. We'll let you know as more developments occur, and we'll schedule press briefings as necessary and regularly in the interest of transparency. So, okay. Thank you all.
Not much of an update, but thank you for watching with me. Have a good day.